Imagine a quiet laboratory. Nothing dramatic, just rows of glass tubes, a pale liquid inside them, and billions of tiny, invisible lives drifting about. These are yeast cells, simple single celled organisms. Each one is an individual living alone, dividing and surviving. There is no cooperation or society, just existence. Now imagine a scientist asking a deceptively simple question: how did life ever go from this to us? From lone cells to forests, animals, human beings, organisms made of trillions of cells working together. That leap from one to many, from unicellular to multicellular, is one of the greatest mysteries in evolutionary biology. Instead of trying to answer it with fossils or theory, the scientists decide to recreate it. This scientist takes yeast and lets it grow in a liquid medium. The cells multiply rapidly, filling the tube with life. At first, nothing unusual happens. Each cell divides, separates, and continues on its own. Then comes the twist. The scientist stops shaking the tube and gravity takes over. The heavier particles sink to the bottom, the lighter ones stay floating above. And now a rule is introduced, a simple, almost childlike rule. Only the cells that sink the fastest will survive. So the scientist waits, watches the yeast settle, and carefully transfers only the bottom layer into a new tube. The rest are discarded, and then the process repeats again and again and again. Days pass, generations of yeast live and die, and then something subtle begins to change. Some cells, after dividing, do not separate anymore. Instead of drifting apart, they remain attached, like siblings refusing to let go of each other's hands. At first, it's just a few cells, then more, and then they form clusters. These clusters grow, branch, and twist into delicate, intricate shapes, tiny structures that resemble snowflakes. The scientist looks into the microscope. The lonely individuals are gone, and in their place are communities. These snowflake like clusters have an advantage. They are heavier, they sink faster, and because the experiment rewards sinking, they are selected again and again. Evolution, Darwinian evolution, blind and indifferent, begins to favor togetherness over solitude. But then something even more extraordinary happens. Inside these clusters, not all cells behave the same way anymore. Some of them begin to sacrifice themselves. At certain points, a few cells die deliberately in a programmed way. Their death causes the cluster to split apart into smaller pieces. These pieces drift away and grow into new clusters. For the first time, you see something profound: a cell giving up its life for reproduction of the whole. This is no longer a collection of individuals, this is an organism. And all of this entire transformation from independence to cooperation, from individuality to unity, has happened in a matter of weeks. There is no grand design and no guiding hand, just variation, selection, and timing. Step back for a moment. Look at your own body. Trillions of cells, each capable of living on its own, yet almost all of them cooperate. They divide when needed, they specialize into tissues, and even die when their time comes, so that the organism, which is you, can live. The Snowflake Yeast Experiment shows that this incredible organization did not require a miracle. It could emerge naturally from simple rules repeated over generations. But the story doesn't end in the lab. It quietly asks a deeper question. Once, a single cell was an individual. Then many cells became one organism. Identity shifted from the part to the whole. So you might wonder, if cells could come together to become you, could humans be part of something larger we don't yet perceive? In a small glass tube, under the gaze of microscope, Evolution told a story of how separation gives way to unity, how selfishness can give rise to cooperation, how life, step by step, builds complexity out of simplicity. And somewhere, billions of years later, that same process produced a mind capable of asking, how did all this happen? If you liked the video, please share it and do subscribe to The Nerd. Thank you so much for listening.